Welcome to the Caribou Middle School Technology Education Program. This video is going to show you the basic setup of your portfolio or your notebook, as we might call it, for technology education while you are in this class. You will be given a notebook that may have a different color. This one here happens to be blue. We have some that are maroon and some that are green. These colors are all coordinated with your grade level. The first thing that you will need is a pencil, because we never use a pen to fill out our notebook. And preferably you'll have an eraser on the end of it, because we will be making mistakes and have to correct them. Now for this video, I have filled out the parts of the notebook with a black ballpoint pen. That is so that you may see the pictures clearer. So when you get your notebook from the technology instructor, whether it be Mr. Willett or Mr. Gangler, either someone will be sitting down with you, or in conjunction with that, you'll be asked to watch this video that you are watching now. This will help you to get started on the proper foot in technology education. Our portfolio is a very important part of our class. You never have homework to take home in this class, but you are responsible for making sure this notebook is updated on a daily basis. This notebook will hold much of the work on the projects that you do out here in class. It will also be able to tell us what you do on a daily basis, what safety tests you may have completed. It will show us all your record keeping and show us how you are doing in general in tech ed. So let's start by going through this. I will go through this at a fairly fast rate, but you may stop the video anytime and rewind it and watch a part if it confuses you. The first thing we want to do, this is what we call our blue card, our technology education program record. This records all of the areas that you have worked in while your time with us in tech ed. We'd like you to write your first and last name. This person happens to be John Doe. This will be our fictitious person throughout the video. Please print your name so that we are able to read it. We will also be asking for signatures later throughout this video. A signature is generally done in cursive and is like a fingerprint. It signifies who you are. Further down below here, we have 6th room number, 7th room number, or 8th room number. This person happens to be in room 102. So we'll write that. Below that, we have power equipment contract. It says, I, John Doe, you need to print your name here, promise not to use any power equipment without the instructor's permission. I furthermore promise to get the instructor's permission each time I need to use those pieces of equipment so designated on the equipment operation checklist. And we'll be talking about that equipment operation checklist a little bit later. So basically you're entering a contract with myself and Mr. Gangler, who is the team teacher out here with myself, that anytime you have to use power equipment, you must ask. That is for your safety and my safety and other students' safety. You never know, and there might be a piece of equipment that might be broke down, and we need to know who's going to use it so we can give you fair warning. Below that, you'll see an area that says 6th, 7th, and 8th. Notice here it says student's signature, and it has the date that you are signing this document. Also notice that the signature and the printed version of the name are different. So at this time, unless you have any further questions for the instructors, please sign your name in the form of a signature and date it accordingly. After you have completed that, our next task will be to make sure that you have brought back your parents' permission slip. If you have, the grade will be checked off, and whoever collected the permission slip, either myself or Mr. Gangler, will have signed in one of these areas, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. A permission slip will be going home with you today to let your mom or dad or legal guardian know that you are in technology education, and we are going to do our very best to make sure that you are safe at all times out here in technology education. If you are in the 6th grade, this technology education program record will only be used on a very limited basis. When you get into the 7th and 8th grade, this record will be used to keep track of projects that you have done while you are out here. For example, this person, John Doe, may have been in sign engraving. It says here they were in sign engraving on March 1st, 2014. They were also in woodworking on February 17th, 2014. And now are in cold metals on April 1st, 2014. So this is to keep track of all the areas that they have been and what dates they started in. That is the front of the blue card. So we're going to flip this blue card over. Normally we would just flip the page over. I'm going to remove it from the binder so that we can see it. So please bear with me. The back of our blue card. This is a little bit different. It has all the areas listed, if you are in 7th and 8th grade, that we offer out here in technology education, as you can see on yours. It also has a place where it says cost, and that is how much money did this person spend while they were in the area of sign engraving. And here it says that they spent $3.50, and who the instructor was, they signed it, the initials of the instructor. As you can see, they also were in woodworking and in cold metals. So this gives us a running tally of everything they have been in and how much money they have spent. It is our form of record keeping while you are here. Probably the most important part of the blue card is the very bottom here. For most of you, it will never affect you. But for some of you, this is where we keep our records as far as classroom discipline. And what happens is when a student breaks one of our rules or does something that they're not supposed to, we're going to ask them to sit out 10 minutes. So basically we're going to give them a stool, ask them to sit in a corner somewhere where they're not going to injure themselves or injure somebody else. Think of it as a timeout for 10 minutes. The instructor will document the date that the problem was. This was on February 17th. After the 10 minutes are done, the student will be allowed to get up and go back to work, and hopefully that will be the end of the issue. But for some people, we have had times when students constantly either act out or do something they should not be doing. So the second time something happens, they will be sitting out 20 minutes, again in a corner somewhere away from the general classroom where they're not able to injure somebody else. And again, it will be documented as it is here. This was on 4/12. After the second infringement or problem, the third time, the student will be sitting out the whole period and will get to meet with myself and Mr. Gangler either at lunchtime or after school or early morning and see if we can find out why you are having a hard time dealing with things out here. Remember, when you become a safety problem, you can injure others. And usually the person that is going to be injured will not be that person. It will be a friend, a coworker, a teacher, those types of things. And we do not want that to happen. If that behavior continues after the third time, we then will bring in our principal and perhaps meet with other teachers and see if you're having the same issues in other classrooms. And then finally, we will meet with parents, principals, other instructors, whoever your legal guardian is, guidance counselors, to see what our next plan is for you. If you are a safety problem out here, we will do our best to eliminate you. You cannot be out here horsing around. Very important. Foolishness, horsing around is for the playground and the playground only. We have very strict rules here, and we need to make sure that you follow them completely. Okay. This blue card will also be given to the teacher. If you are in the 7th and 8th grade, they will be collecting it and taking care of it for you. So let's turn to the next page in our notebook, which is your student daily record. Student daily record sheet is done on a daily basis. I often tell students it is like a diary. A diary is something that you would fill out at the end of the day, and you would note in the diary the date, perhaps some information about what happened that day, maybe good things and bad, what your thoughts and feelings were, that type of information. The student daily record sheet is very much the same thing. So, at the very top, you should print your name. Again, this is John Doe, our fictitious student at the middle school. For today's purpose, he's going to be in grade 6 and coming out of room 102. That would be his home room. Looking down the side over here, we have week number 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are weeks of school. Now, the top of this says dates. We would like the dates written somewhat like I have them here. Here it says 6-2-14. So the 6 is telling us that is the month, the day, and the year. And you would write all your dates for that week. Remember, sometimes we have months that the month changes partially through the week, so make sure that you catch that. For the video purposes, I've also written here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So each one of these blocks is showing us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Of course, there's no school on Saturday and Sunday, so that's why we have no blocks for that. The activity is going to be what you did that day in class. And if you had a project, what was the project you were working on? So for the first few days that you're here, you're probably going to be seeing this word called orientation. Orientation simply means that we are going over various paperwork out in Tech Ed, getting you ready to get up and working in the lab with the other students. That would be all we need to write for those first few days, orientation. And it is spelled correctly here. All you need to do is copy it. Another example of how we may possibly write in your notebook would be like this. Let's say that you're in the 6th grade and we're building a little miniature race car. The activity that you're working on that day would be drew a car plan. Well, that is not specific enough to tell us the information we're looking for. So we have to add more information to it. So we're gonna write here, it says top view, drew car plan, top view. And the project would be car. So we're building a little miniature race car. Let's say that you're in the 7th or 8th grade. You would write what the area is that you're working in. For this example, I've written woods. You're in the woodworking area. Today, you happen to sand parts using an electric sander for a project that you're making. But what was the name of the project? You were making a 4-legged stool. So if you're in the 7th and 8th grade, you need to make sure you have the area, what you did, and what the project is. And this is filled out on a daily basis after our cleanup is done each day. No one fills out a notebook while we are cleaning up. So you have week number 1, week number 2, 3, and 4. Now, you may have, if you're in the 6th grade, 2 or 3 of these pages. Okay? So when I flip the page, as you can see, John Doe has a second set of these student daily record sheets. Again, John Doe's filled out the top, the grade, the room number. This is a student number. I've just drawn a slash through there because we no longer have or use a student number out here. We have weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's all you have to do to this page until we get to that week 5, 6, 7, or 8. I'll turn the page over, and we happen to have one more set of student daily records sheet. Again, John Doe, grade 6, room 102, a slash mark through the student number, and this time it says week 9, 10, 11, 12. Now in your notebook you should also have a student daily record sample sheet. You'll see down here the word sample is written in big black letters. We put this together to help you get an idea of how your notebook should look. So we've written various entries in a notebook. On a day that we are having a holiday, maybe it's Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, those types of things, you would write the word holiday, no classes, and you may also choose to write what the holiday is. I would probably strongly suggest that. That way you know what it is. If we were doing orientation like we're doing today, you would write orientation. On this day here, the student learned about a fire drill, about fire blankets, and how to use fire extinguishers. Another day, week 2, they might have learned about discussed lab safety, eye safety equipment. Another day, they might have learned about the red panic button in emergency and had a fire drill. So as you can see, we have different things. Here we have a holiday. It says Columbus Day, holiday, no school. Here we had no school, but a different issue. It was a teacher workshop day. So again, this is going to give you some of the answers on things to write in your student daily record sheet. If you are not sure what you should be writing for the first few days, please see Mr. Willett or Mr. Gangler, and they will help you to write what needs to be in there. Remember, this is a notebook for you to fill out, not for me or Mr. Gangler. Therefore, you need to make sure you provide a pencil with an eraser. A pen is not acceptable for filling out your notebook. If you fill out your notebook with a pen, you'll have to start all over and recopy the sheets. Moving along. The next sheet in your notebook should be a parent's permission slip. At this time, you need to take this out when we're done talking about it, fold it up, put it in your pocket or in your book bag, and take it home to have your parents or legal guardians sign it. This sheet will explain to whoever is responsible for you what you're doing in Tech Ed, what our role is here as an instructor, and what your role here is as a student. Make sure that you have your name printed and have whoever is responsible for you sign in signature form their name and date it. When you are done with that sheet, when you bring it back to school, you need to show it to the instructors, either one, so that we can note it on the blue card, and then you will be putting this in your notebook, back in the correct place. Now, what happens if you forget where this sheet goes? On each side of the lab, on Mr. Gangler and Mr. Ouellette's side, there is a big red card, approximately 2 feet by 18 inches. One is located over by the windows on Mr. Ouellette's side. The other one is located behind Mr. Gangler's desk on his side, and it will give you the order of the pages in your notebook. So don't worry if you're not sure, we'll be able to get it back in the proper place. You will not be allowed to work or participate in Tech Ed until you get this sheet back signed. Next page in your notebook should be a technology lab grading policy. We have one specific for the 6th grade, plus we also have one specifically for grades 7 and 8. For the video purposes here, we're using the 7th and 8th grade one, but the 6th grade is very similar. On here, it will tell us that at the beginning of each ranking period, you will start with an A for a grade. There'll be 100 points next to your name in my grade book on my computer. And all you have to do is maintain that grade by following these rules. And these rules are all listed here accordingly. I'm not going to read them to you. I'm going to let you look at them. And if you have a question, you can see one of the instructors. I will tell you, though, that in Tech Ed, you need to participate every day out here in the lab, both with working on your projects and helping clean up. My rule is you help make the mess, you need to help to clean it up. I will not clean up a mess after you. Mr. Gangler does not clean up a mess after you. You're responsible for your cleanup. Another big thing out here is your work attitude with classmates and teachers. We expect you to be polite and courteous to the teachers, also to your friends and fellow students. Nobody wants to work with somebody that's mad or belittling somebody or making life hard for them. Also, what type of work are you doing on your project? We want you to put your best foot forward out here and try your best. What caliber of work are you putting on your project? Remember, the work that you produce out here reflects upon you. Do your best. Another part that reflects with your grade will be the entries on your student discipline record. That is the bottom of the blue card that we've already talked about in this video. Part of our grading system for technology education will be to check your notebook or your portfolio every 2 weeks. And for that, we are looking to see if your notebook is filled out each day that you are out here in Tech Ed. Notebooks are not to be filled out once a week. They're to be filled out each and every day. Is your notebook in order? That's another big thing. When I open your notebook, if I looking for your student daily record sheet, it should be the first thing that I see. If I'm looking for the yellow card, it should be in a specific place. If I'm looking for a project evaluation sheet, it should be in a specific place. So we're building record keeping skills with you at the same time. So the penalties that we have out here, if your notebook is behind, when I check it in 2 weeks, it'll be 3 points tallied next to your name on the grade book. So if you started off with 100 and I check your notebook in 2 weeks, you're behind, you're now down to a 97. You cannot bring that grade up. I do not do extra credit. I do not give bonus points. We have given you the 100 points. All you have to do is maintain them. Failure to clean up. Every period that you leave a mess for somebody to clean up, you don't do your cleanup properly, it's a point on your grade next to your name. No lab participation. You just want to sit around. You want to forget your money. You want to socialize all period. That is a point. Sitting around watching what everybody is doing is not what technology education is about. This is a class where you have to participate. You have to be doing something. Forgetting your money constantly every day for a week. You just want to sit around is not going to work. You know that if you know that you need to buy some materials for wood burning, then you need to bring that dollar that day that you need to buy your materials. No credit will be given, and you will not be given materials to start. I often say it's like going to McDonald's. You want the #1 value meal at McDonald's? Well, they're not going to give you that Big Mac until you pay for it. It's the same thing here. Now, we do realize there are times out there when parents have a hard time. They may not get paid for another week or so. Talk to us and we can work out arrangements with you. But every project has a cost tied to it, and the cost is very minimal. It's the basic cost of the materials, what it costs us to buy the materials. The school department is not making any money. All the monies that you turn in to the instructor are turned into the office to help purchase more materials for other students. You want to socialize all period? That is not an option out here. Now, when we are working, you can work and talk. That's fine. We are preparing you for that first job, whether it be working at a fast food establishment here in town. It might be McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, Burger Boy, those types of things. When you work for an employer, they're not going to pay you to socialize and talk on your iPhone or to be standing around talking to your girlfriends or boyfriends and those types of things. They're paying you to work. So we're trying to build good working skills. Improper use of safety equipment might be that you have to wear a leather coat in welding and you're not wearing it, you're not wearing the proper protective equipment. That might be cost you a point against your grade. And of course the big one out here is not wearing your safety glasses. It is a state law that you must wear safety glasses at all times. So when we tell you to put safety glasses on, put them on and leave them on. If I have to talk to you 3 times in one period, that would be 3 points against your grade. So it says the above grading policy for the technology lab has been read and explained to me, and I fully understand how my grade will be determined, what I must do to maintain my A grade. And if there are no questions, you would sign it in the student's signature. Remember we talked about the signature and today's date. Something else, it says do not write on or in anyone's notebook but your own. Detention will be issued to anyone who is writing in somebody else's notebook. I often say it's like going to visit the doctor, your physician, and you have a folder with your medical records. You would not like it if another student took your medical records off the shelf and started doodling in it or adding notes, those types of things. Those are your personal records. Just like your notebook here in Tech Ed is your personal record. You should not be in anybody's notebook for any reason. So our next page, I'm going to clip my notebook open so we can flip it over. In the back of this page talks about general safety rules of the Carroll Middle School in grades 5 through 8. And these are generally common sense types of rules that we have out here. And I'm going to let you read through them. They involve about wearing the proper clothing, wearing closed-toed shoes, not usually a problem in northern Maine in January, but come springtime, people like to wear sandals and flip-flops and open-toed shoes, which is not acceptable for classroom in Tech Ed. You have to have your toes covered up at all times. If you don't have the proper shoes, you'll be asked to sit your period out in the hall, and it'll be points taken off your grade because of improper safety equipment. We also do not allow you to have food or drinks out here, snacks or that type of thing, unless you maybe are a diabetic and you need to control your blood sugars. If this applies to you, you will know and do what you need to do to deal with your medical issues. Audio devices are not allowed in the labs, just like phones. Okay? Audio devices, MP3 players, iPods, we do not allow them because they can be distracting, and if you have earbuds in your ears, that kind of silences the noise out here and could be dangerous. So audio devices are not allowed in any shape or form. Now you are allowed to watch a video. Let's say that you're in an area and you have to watch a YouTube video or a video we may have done for Tech Ed. You will be allowed to wear the earbuds so that you can hear better, because there is a lot of noise sometimes in the lab that can be distracting. Another thing I want to talk about is the long hair. Some of you ladies, and could be gentlemen, may have long hair that might need to be tied back if you're using a piece of equipment, a palm sander, anything that's turning, anything that could grab your hair and rip it out of your skull. Okay? We do have a bag of rubber bands, but if you have long hair, I might suggest that you get a hair tie and clip it into the rings of your notebook so you'll have it when you need to use it. Make yourself aware where the fire extinguishers are, fire alarms. Eye wash station we have over here is on Mr. Gangler's side over by his sink out by the rear door. You do not need to ask anybody to use the eye wash station. If you need to use it, you have dust in your eyes, something has happened, either get myself or get yourself or get a friend to take you over there to wash your eyes out. Okay? Again, we've spoken about Maine state law that you have to wear eyeglasses. We've spoken a little bit about lab and workspace cleanup. You need to also get into the habit of washing your hands each day before you leave here. You do not know who is sitting at the table or the counter that you're working at. Maybe they had a bad cold. Maybe they mixed some chemicals. Maybe they were making a dry cell. You do not know. So we have lots of sinks around. We have lots of hand soap. We have hand sanitizer also. Get your hands clean before you leave each day. That also means after you have used the restroom facilities, which we have also out here, we have a restroom on each side, on Mr. Gangler's side, please wash your hands. Do not put us in the position of having to tell you to go wash up. That's just good general hygiene. Next one here would say remove all your jewelry when working around tools and machines. That would be rings, bracelets, necklaces, scarves, anything that could be caught in something that's rotating. When in doubt, always take it off. If you have to handle heavy things, large things, or bulky objects, you need to make sure you get some help. Don't ruin your back or injure yourself by trying to be a strong man or strong girl and pick things up. Carry sharp things, pointy things facing downwards and away from others. Scissors, screwdrivers, chisels, pointing them away from you. Of course, no running. Out here in the lab, everything is a nice slow walk. All our machines have got rules posted on them. You need to follow those rules so that you don't get yourself injured. You may only use equipment out here that you have been authorized to use. If you've been authorized to use a drill press, you're the only one that's using a drill press. It is not a spectator sport. Nobody else is going to be standing around there for you, because they're probably the ones that would get injured if something will go wrong. Report unsafe conditions to the teacher immediately. If you see something wrong, something's on the floor, something's leaking, there's a wire showing on an electrical cord, there's some risk of danger, please tell us so we can correct it immediately. We do not allow running, throwing of objects like sponges, pieces of wood, tools, or general horseplaying or making unnecessary loud noises in the technology lab. That is a big no-no out here, okay? So use your common sense. This can cause somebody to get injured. Should you hurt yourself? Sometimes somebody can cut themselves with a pair of scissors and get a splinter. They might bruise themselves, hit right into something. Or you need to tell us so that we can take a look at it and assess if it needs more medical attention. We have bandages out here, Band-Aids, and those types of things. Generally, we're able to take care of it. If not, we can send you to the office. We can call a school nurse, those types of things. But you need to let us know. And after you've taken a test on a piece of equipment or need to use something, if you're still unsure of how to properly use it and safely use it, please let the instructor know. Do not use something that you're unsure of. Okay? So, you can write your name at the bottom of this. You can just print your name, the room number, and today's date. Our next sheet in our notebook is going to primarily be for the 7th and 8th graders. But I want to talk a little bit about this piece of paper right here. It's called a receipt. A receipt is used by all students in the middle school, grades 6, 7, and 8. And a receipt tells us what you are purchasing. Okay? It'll have a place for your first and last name, what grade level you're in, you just have to circle it, period, 1 through 9, the date, today's date that you are purchasing the material or giving us the money, the amount that you're paying us, okay? It could be at 50 cents, $3, $2, whatever, you need to note it. The area of study, if you're doing 7th and 8th graders, you would have an area of study. This example here says copper tooling. The project that you're doing to that copper tooling, this person here is going to make a starfish in copper tooling. And you'll notice here it says student's copy. This is stapled to a project evaluation sheet here. You're going to have a student's copy, you're going to have a teacher's copy. The bottom is exactly the same as the top, but the bottom will be torn off only after you have paid for the project. So as the notes here, tear between lines only after you have paid. And on Mr. Gangler's desk, there is a little spike, and you'll see other receipts there. You will place that on the spike. These are Mr. Gangler's or Mr. Willette's records, and they keep those, and you keep those. So the receipt says that you have purchased something. You need to make sure you hang on to that receipt at all times. That is your proof that you paid for something. In the 7th and 8th grade, we're going to flip this over. We have what's called a project evaluation sheet. You'll need to fill out the top of this again. It says directions. After completing a project and or area, fill out both sides of this sheet. So you got your name, your period, your grade, your room number. Fill that out, and then it says what area are you in. For this example today, this student is in copper tooling. It says, did you make a project in this area? Yes. And what was the project? They've written in starfish. And a project evaluation sheet is just a series of questions that you're going to read and answer. And it'll be a grading system of how you did. It'll ask you some of the tools and machines. How does your project look? Did you draw your own design? Some helpful ideas to other students, things that you didn't like, things that you did like. And then at the very bottom here, it says list 3 areas you would like to try next. Okay. If you are on Mr. Gangler's side and you're filling out this sheet, your next 3 areas of study should be on Mr. Willette's side. So you'll have to choose from the list that Mr. Willette has or Mr. Gangler has on their desk. They'll have to be on the opposite teacher's side. You cannot stay on the same side for 2 projects unless the teacher is full. After you fill this side of the page out and you've paid for your material, then you're going to show this to the instructor, and they're going to look at it and ask you to make changes or recommendations. When it is complete, they will sign down here. They will initial it that it is correct and acceptable, and you'll be able to move on. That is the first half of the project evaluation sheet. The back half, I'll flip this over for our camera, is the occupational and career research. For this part of the page, you'll have to be using your iPad. And we have a website that you need to go to, and this is it right here. If you have a hard time getting that, finding that area, let us know. We'll help you get it bookmarked. And the directions are all here what to do next. You're going to be researching a career that deals with the area you just did. So if you were in copper tooling, it has to do with metal, sheet metal, you're going to have to research a career that deals with that. An example might be a sheet metal worker. It could be a auto body repair person. They work with sheet metal. It could be an air conditioning specialist because they build air conditioning systems using ductwork, those types of things. So that's what you're going to be researching. And as we go down through there, the second question says list 2 academic classes you're taking now besides Tech Ed. So an academic class would be something that you're taking now. It could be math, science, English, language arts. It could be phys ed. It could be a French or foreign language. Those are all areas that you are taking now. These are academic classes you're taking now. Skipping down to question number 5, it says, what advanced training will you need for this career? Now, when we talk about advanced training, we're talking about classes after high school or training after high school. You might possibly go to a community college like Northern Maine Community College. You might possibly go to the University of Maine, which have different campuses throughout, like Umpqua, Fort Kent, Orono, USM, Augusta, Farmington. Those are all places you can go for advanced training. You might also be in the military to get advanced training. You might also be getting advanced training like Bath Iron Works. If you were getting a job as a welder, they might train you on how to weld for their particular demands. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at advanced training. It could be on-the-job training. It could be doing an apprenticeship with somebody for 2 years or 3 years. So that's what we mean by advanced training. Does this career require special working hours? It says yes or no. Types of careers that would be special working hours would be a police officer, could be a fire personnel, an EMT, might be a funeral director, it could be a doctor, it could be a veterinarian. Those are all types of jobs where you might work different shift work. You might be called out in the middle of the night. Those are special working hours. A working condition is our next question. A working condition is where you are doing this job. What is it like? If you were a carpenter, are you inside or outside? Or maybe both. Are you having to climb heights? Are you having to do heavy lifting? Is there a lot of danger involved for getting injured or hurt? Are you working with a lot of fumes, smells, chemicals, able to get a lot of things in your eyes and injure yourself? Those are working conditions. Then you'll have to list 2 bad things and 2 good things about a career. Writing fun has a good thing for a career. It does not work. You have to tell me 2 good things about that job. You have to tell me 2 bad things about the job. It may require you to think a little bit or to do a little bit more research. Then on question number 9, it talks about how much money that you are making on this job. It'll ask you how much money you make per hour, how much money you would make per week. The general work week for most people is 40 hours. 40 hours. How many weeks are there in a year? 52. So if there are 52 weeks in a year, you would take how much money you made per week times 52, and it would give you a salary or how much money you're making. Now, once you've got that done, you need to find a place where you could be employed with this job. So let's say you were a carpenter or a woodworker. Where might you possibly get a job as a woodworker? You'll be using the telephone books. We have some telephone books here in the yellow pages. And you'll find a place where you can actually get a job. I'd like for you to list the name of the business and the phone number. So an example of a woodworking job in Caribou might be working at the mill for S.W. Collins locally. It might be working for a carpenter like P.G. Moore in construction. Those types of things. And the last one says, is this a job you might be interested in? Yes or no? And you have to let me know why. Okay? So very self-explanatory. It requires a lot of thought process on your part. There are no real right or wrong answers. Our next page that you'll find in your notebook is called a choice sheet. It's a small half sheet that has all the areas listed that we have out here in Tech Ed. So again, make sure your first and last name is on it, your room number, and you may possibly want to put period that you're in. And you'll notice there's a little square box next to each area. If you are just coming in new to the program and school has already started, we will probably be taking this half sheet of paper, sending you around with another student, having them show you some of the areas that we do out here to give you a better explanation of all the areas. If we are watching this at the beginning of the school year, we will be taking a little bit of time one day this week and going over these areas with you. Now, You'll notice there's a line drawn between the word offset printing and woodworking. You need to draw a line through your sheet also. Anything above the line offset printing is located on Mr. Gangler's side. Anything from the line down is on Mr. Willette's side. You'll also need to cross out the area called studio photography. We no longer offer that. We also need to cross out the word foundry. And we're going to draw in 2 new squares on the bottom. And we're going to write wood burning. And we're going to also write in soap carving. And after you've had your little tour of all the areas out here, you're going to take your pencil and you're going to number every square according to what you would like to do first. So John Doe here, after going through all the areas, has decided that he would like to start in leathers. So he's going to put a 1 in that square. If leathers is full when he gets there, what is going to be the second choice he's going to do? It's art metals, number 2. And that's full. Number 3 is going to be slip casting. So he's numbered these all the way through 24, I believe. Hopefully the student will get into the first, usually 2 to 3 areas they have put down. But if you're a new student coming into the school system and classes have already started, there are students already in those areas, and we will do our best to fit you in to those areas. Okay, we're going to flip that piece of paper over. And now we have a sheet here called the Caribou Middle School Technology Education Equipment Checklist. It is a canary yellow sheet, and it is used to record what equipment you are tested on and are allowed to use while you're out here in Tech Ed. I'm going to just turn this a little bit. You'll be able to look on yours. This is rather small, so you please look on with the sheet in your notebook. So make sure at the very bottom you have your first name, last name, middle initial, the beginning year that you are getting here, and the year that you'll be leaving. So in this example here, the beginning year, this student was here in started the school year 2013, and they're going to be leaving here in 2016. At the top it says you are responsible to prepare yourself using any media, books, films, and charts. That could be using an iPad, some books that we have in the AV room. It could be using a production guide, which will be explained to you a little bit later. You may not use any powered equipment without the instructor's permission. You are responsible to make sure the instructor initials this sheet after you have taken the test. So if you take the test on a drill press, you need to make sure that you get this yellow sheet to whoever gave you the test so they can sign it off. Bring in this yellow sheet to them tomorrow instead of today will make you have to take the test over again. So, looking on your sheet, this says that on a scroll saw, this person took the scroll saw test and passed it on 4/17/14, and I'm the one that signed it. They also learned how to use the injection molder on Mr. Gangler's side, and they're also certified to use the wood burner. So I think this has a license to operate a piece of equipment, like a fishing license or a hunting license. A fishing or hunting license is good for 1 calendar year. Next year you have to get a new fishing license or you have to get a new hunting license. This yellow paper is good for the school year. So if you took the test on a scroll saw this year and you come back to Caribou Middle School next year and you need to use the scroll saw again, you will have to test over again. and retest it for it to be safe for you to use. So there's a lot of information there that we've gone over rather quickly. That should give you a pretty good indication of how your notebook is set up and what you need to do to get started in technology education. Once you've viewed this video, you want to take your notebook and go show it to the instructor so we can get you started in technology education. I hope that your time here at Caribou Middle School and Tech Ed is a fun time and that you'll learn something. It's an area where we are building your working skills for your future for the rest of your life. We want you to be safe. We want you to be happy. Thank you, and have a good day.